Once upon a time, there was a little boy called Howard who loved writing stories.
Little Howard dreamed of being a writer, and so he sat and wrote every night. But everything he wrote was fucking shite, yeah. Wubba-dubba-doo, worst writer in the world. 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 He's a stupid, suck-ass, rubbish writer.
Welcome to the worst writer in the world.
Hooray!
Another chapter of my favourite book, George Spooner and the Woman Who Loved a Horse. Parvenu with nowt to do.
Oh yeah, the Parvenu is fantastic.
So much nowt to do, in fact. He's got time to stalk someone to France, get arrested for a murder he didn't commit, faint whilst in custody, get put in hospital, have a nurse, a mysterious new nurse, immediately fall in love with him and help him to escape. And where we left George Spooner, he was in the middle of that escape. But he'd found himself suddenly embroiled in a slapstick comedy movie.
Fantastic.
But we did also see on the way out, you know, he's been accused of murdering one person. But on the way out, we saw another dead body that someone had shoved in a cupboard, almost like they were like a wannabe gorilla, but hadn't quite made it to chimneys yet. They were practicing. All right, so shall we get on with it and see what George Spooner's up to this week? Howard?
Yes, please.
As we raced down the concrete stairwell, I could feel my heart pounding, or francing as... Oh no, I get it. Or franking. I mean, it's got a C, right? So it looks like francing because it's followed by a, you know... Okay, I'm gonna try and do this joke slightly better because I don't know if I'm doing it justice.
No, it's a bad joke. It's okay.
Yeah, I can feel my heart pounding, or francing as they perhaps call it here, because I was in France. That's not the gag. All right. So I could feel my heart pounding, or franking, as they perhaps called it here. Ha ha bonk. I owed my life to a wet floor, and I felt suddenly bad for all the terrible things I'd said about wet floors in the past. I had a long history of saying nasty things about, wet floors, I would say. I don't like them. They are, look at how damp that floor is, and not in a good way, I would say. I don't know, what could you say? What bad thing could you say about a wet floor that you would then feel guilty about?
I don't know. It depends where the wet floor is. Is it is it in a linear office when you go to the top floor? If you go up in the lift, is the floor wet there? You might have some bad things to say about that.
This wet floor smells of wee-wee. And what's that woman doing lying on it?
Covered in naked people.
But this was not a time for reflection. I could hear the thunder of footsteps echoing as the gendarme charged down the stairs in pursuit. Excuse me, but I was so upset my accent was just slipping all over the place. 2 flights of stairs stood between me and potential freedom, so I decided to concentrate all my energy on not falling over, as I also had a history with staircases, and now would definitely be a bad time to revisit that memory.
Shit.
So basically, that was a very long way of saying I decided to be careful so I didn't fall down the stairs, right? Is that right? Yeah, okay.
Yes,
cool.
yes. But it's
Okay,
a book,
good.
so it's a book, so you have to spend a paragraph saying, George walked down the stairs carefully. I mean, that's my understanding of books. Fill them with loads and loads and loads of words.
Yeah, loads of words describing things that you really don't need to know in detail you don't need. I remember Thomas Hardy.
Yeah, but I mean, if you don't say the words, then there isn't a book, so... it's just a script, isn't it? It's just a load of people saying their dialogue to each other.
Daisy was barefoot, having ditched her shoes, and was handling the descent far more professionally than myself. She was being paid as she went. Every step she took, someone gave her 10 francs. Far more professionally than myself, bounding effortlessly over 3 or 4 steps at a time, as though this were all in a day's work. She is getting paid. She reached the exit before me, and shoved on the crash bar, but the door did not open.
Oh, shit. Why not? Because there's no such thing as a crash bar?
I was wondering, when did they get invented? Were they around in the 1930s? I mean, they might have been. I've got no idea.
Yeah, because they had fire in the 1930s, so...
And as we know, when cavemen first discovered fire, caveman Jim discovered fire, and meanwhile, next to him, cavewoman Sue was inventing the fire door. She's like, well, this is going to be necessary. Well, better get on with making doors that you can open easily.
Yeah.
So, moments later, I was beside her. Rusted shut, she explained.
Wow, that's bad for a hospital.
That is terrible for, any public building. The fire doors are rusted shut. Like, rusted shut. No one's opened this door in years.
Yeah.
Without thinking, an ability many say comes naturally to me, I took a run-up and gave the crash bar a good kick with the heel of my shoe. Wow, he did a running kick.
Yeah.
That is not easy. And the emergency doors burst spectacularly open, hitting somebody outside square in the face and knocking them to the pavement. Someone was right outside the door, like facing the door.
Yeah.
Now I've got a theory here. Now, what character from Howard Long stories do we know stands right outside doors waiting for them to open, wanking? Right, waiting for Sally Edmead to arrive, getting himself ready for 5 minutes. That is definitely Henry Rollins beating himself off, waiting for Sally to get back from urology.
Suppose.
Right.
Well, talking of maybe that's it. Maybe the reason that the fire doors in this hospital are rusted shut is because there's somebody on the other side constantly taking a piss up against them.
Or Henry Rollins wanking against it and just like it's just covered in his
got all
jizz.
Sticky. Stuck
it's
shut.
It's not rusted shut, it's jizzing shut.
Yeah.
Oh dear, this door won't open because it's covered in Henry Rollins' jizz.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I'll try and give it a kick. Yes, it turns out jizz is not that sticky after all. It doesn't actually block doors closed. But oh dear, I've knocked a man out.
This is exciting though, because now he's finally he's finally become the Baz Hammer of the stories that he reads, hasn't he? Like he's on the run from the police. He's just kicked a door open. It's just pretty cool stuff.
He's got a nurse with him. So I gave it a good kick with the heel of my shoe, and the emergency doors burst spectacularly open, hitting somebody outside square in the face and knocking them onto the pavement. Before I could feel guilty or apologise, I realised it was a member of the gendarmes.
Ooh.
As I looked down on his bloody-nosed, unconscious form, I felt strangely proud, like a teacher who has taught a student a very important life lesson. Here was a man who would think twice before lurking in doorways again. Here was a man who would perhaps not masturbate in front of a closed door ever again. There he was, lying there, covered in blood and piss.
Yes. His penis snapped in half. Yes.
My reverie was broken by Daisy as she grabbed my hand again and dragged me off down the street. Daring to steal a look over my shoulder, I glimpsed the gendarme come piling out of the exit and was saddened to see that some of them had not learned any lessons of their own, as they immediately tripped over my sleeping policeman and ended up in a pile again.
Brilliant.
Because he lives in a farce, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. Pino and a few of the more ambitious flat feet. It feels like the plural of flatfoot should be flatfoots, right? Rather than flat feet. Argue with me if you think.
But, definitely should be flatfoots. But that's George calls them flat feet, I think.
Do you think that's a deliberate gag?
I've no idea. May as well be.
Okay.
Let's say yes.
That's your thing. That's your thing about writing in first person, though, isn't it? You can say that about anything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just George Spooner's character.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing he would do.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I believe you.
He would make huge grammatical errors, just like Howard would. It's weird, that, isn't it?
Pino and a few of the more ambitious flat feet maintained their balance and charged up the street after us, screaming, "Arrêtez! S'arrêter! Envey!" George, I tell you what, not only is he bad at grammar, he's also very bad at pronouncing French, right? Like, he's the worst at that.
Yeah, he's fine.
"Down here," insisted Daisy, pulling me down a back alley. And that's not a euphemism. "There is a market in the Rue de Line." A lot of action in this book happens in the Rue de Line, right? Learn a second street, Howard. This hardly seemed the time for shopping, but the girl had saved me thus far, and so I thought it best to trust her judgment on this. Moments later, we were in a street packed full of people, animals, and market stalls. We ducked down low. The thing is, because you said it was full of animals and then you said we ducked, I'm like, so it's full of ducks. Full of right, this is a street
full of
ducks. Oh my God, so many ducks. We couldn't move for ducks, all demanding bread.
It does say
and
full.
Exploding when they got any.
It does say full as well, as though, it goes, it's like literally like been filled and it carries on upwards as well.
It is ducks all the way down. Absolutely.
Some people buried under those ducks, I'm thinking.
Yeah, but you can't see them because it's mostly ducks.
Mostly ducks.
People are heavier, so they'd sink to the bottom of the ducks, right? People are bigger and heavier, so I feel like they displace the ducks. Now, if you had a street, right, with tall buildings on either side,
full of ducks,
like terraces. No, the ducks aren't there yet. You got imagine the street, and it's terraces on each side, like, and all the doors and windows are closed.
Yes.
So essentially, you've got two perfect walls either side, and then you seal off either end.
Yep.
So you've essentially got a big
ball
bucket, a big ball pool.
Yeah.
And then what you do is you fill that with ducks, right? It's like 100 all the way up to the gutter near the roof with ducks. And then people start jumping in. I think those people would sink to the bottom because they would displace the smaller, lighter ducks.
Yeah.
And also they're heavier, right? So in this situation, I feel basically my thesis is that the people are down at the bottom, covered in ducks.
Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, aren't we all down at the bottom covered in ducks? That's what I say.
So anyway, back to the moments later, we were in a street packed full of people, animals, and market stalls, brackets mostly ducks. We ducked down low and forged our way through the buzzing crowd. That should be the quacking part
Yeah,
of the ducks.
George doesn't know what ducks are. That's the problem. It's actually a street filled with bees.
Full of bees. Oh, look, ducks. No, George, those aren't. Get away from those ducks, they'll sting you.
Yeah.
Somewhere behind me, I could hear the gendarmes yelling and blowing their whistles, but their noise simply mingled with the babble of the crowd, and in any case, the good folk of Paris were far more interested in arguing over the price of ham to pay them any heed.
Right.
And pretty soon we had lost our tail.
Wow. So they're ducks as well. That's just confusing.
That's a surprise, isn't it? We weren't expecting that. That they both have tails and wings and are ducks.
Yeah. Black and yellow stripy ducks. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, because then what they call their tail is actually their stinger.
So they left it in someone. Yeah.
Which is bad news for them, of course. So at the end, we both died the end. Because we all know a duck cannot live without a tail. So after a duck stings someone, if it leaves its tail stuck in that person, the duck will die.
Or become a swan.
One of those two things, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so pretty soon we had lost our tail and were safely hidden in the basement of a rustic wine bar, where we could catch our breaths and decide on our next move, and maybe have a little snifter. Brilliant. I like the fact he's thinking about alcohol at this point.
Yeah.
It's like on the run from the police, who are trying to murder him. Like they've been shooting at him. And he's like, gin? Anyone for gin? Well, we are in a bar.
When you have a stressful day, you do want to take the edge off, don't you, with a nice drink?
That, to be honest, that would be the nicest drink you ever had. Like you've like adrenaline pumping, your heart's racing, you've done some exercise, you're both terrified and elated, you've got a hot nurse with you for some reason you haven't quite worked out. Yeah. You're probably wearing a hospital gown. Right.
Yeah,
I assume he's got a hospital gown on. Right.
I don't know, he's wearing shoes apparently, so he must have got changed.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be better if he was in a gown, running around.
Well, he's in a farce, so he should be. Yeah. If he's going to be in a farce, he's got to be a hospital gown, right? And then you're like, okay, so rum? Anyone for rum? My goodness, this is tasty. There was a body, said Daisy, aghast. Oh, he's telling her about the dead nurse, is he?
Yes, she's acting surprised. Like she didn't murder them.
All right, so I should perform that layered understanding of the character and sentence. There was a body, said Daisy, aghast. Yes, very nearly naked, and her throat slit from ear to ear.
Wow.
I demonstrated in case she didn't know what ears were. Although she was smart, I don't believe children get the same schooling that they did in my day. Brilliant. It gets better. That line gets better and better. I like that. I was kind of shocked by the throat slit from ear to ear, and I think that put us off the rhythm of it a bit. But this is I'm going to do that again because it's an excellent bit of writing by Howard.
Right.
Yes. So, and an excellent performance by Rufus, of course. So let's go back to the excellent. So there was a body, said Daisy, aghast. Yes, very nearly naked, and her throat slit from ear to ear. I demonstrated, in case she didn't know what ears were. Although she was smart, I don't believe children get the same schooling that they did in my day. I'm not sure that schools tell people what ears are anymore. You know, not back in the good old days of excellent schooling.
They leave it to people to find out for themselves. So it's often much later in life, in their 40s, when people suddenly discover that they have ears. What they've been hearing through all this time.
She looked horrified. I didn't do it, of course, I reassured her. I almost thought, because she looked horrified, and then I thought she was going to say that, right? Which would be brilliant at this point, right? She's going, there was a body, said Daisy aghast. Yes, very nearly naked, and her throat slit from ear to ear. I didn't do it, of course.
I didn't think you did, but I'm starting to suspect you did.
No, that's not what happened. She looked horrified. I didn't do it, of course, I reassured her. How could you? You were cuffed to the bed. Exactly. Alas, the police don't know this. They doubtlessly believe that, having escaped, I immediately sated my lust for murder by killing the first woman I could get my hands on. They'll have me pegged as Jack the Ripper back to his old tricks. The Ripper never killed men. That's not really the point, Daisy. That's, not being pedantic at this point about who and what Jack the Ripper murdered is not, like, I'm a little worried about being put in prison for murder.
Also, no men have been murdered, have they? Why?
Dead tramp. That's in the next line.
Oh.
No, the next line, in fact, is, no, but the dead tramp did have very long hair.
Yeah, all right.
I wonder why she was undressed. Who? Oh, yes, I had been wondering the same thing. Beats me. Do you think that someone's murdered her for her uniform, maybe? I mean, she was a nurse, right, and didn't have her nurse's uniform on. Have you met anyone recently who's wearing a nurse's uniform, which coincidentally happens to be covered in blood?
Yeah.
No, not that I can think of. Besides you, of course, but obviously you're a very believable, convincingly safe person to hang around with.
Nurses probably are covered in blood quite often, so it wouldn't be that unusual.
Yeah.
Although it's really concentrated on this neck area, though, the blood isn't.
Yeah. The massive stab wounds in her uniform.
Yeah.
No, that's quite normal for a nurse. Nurses are often covered in blood and stab wounds.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Do you think this has anything to do with the other deaths? The only connection I can see is my presence. It could be a huge coincidence, I suppose, but I just don't know. What if the murderer isn't trying to kill you, but trying to frame you? Then they are making a dash good job of it. But yes, you may have a point. You're a perceptive one, aren't you? Normally, I should feel most inappropriate talking about cadavers in front of a lady, but being a nurse, I suppose it's all in a day's work. In fact, you have such a manner about you, I feel I could talk to you about anything. It's not my manner, it's the uniform, covered in blood stab wounds.
Yes.
Men go wild for the uniform. It's the reason so many patients fall for their nurses. I'm sure once you see me out of it, you'll view me differently.
What? Sexy.
Also, that was a bit weird, because he's saying, I feel I could talk to you about anything.
Yeah.
And her reply is, you just want to fuck me for my uniform. And he's like, I was saying I could talk, I feel comfortable. And, men want to fuck nurses, don't they? Not really what I was saying. But of course, then she makes a bawdy comment about being out of uniform.
Yeah.
And George Spooner thinks, it was after this comment I knew that I really couldn't talk to her on any subject, for pal she may be, but she was still a lady first and foremost. This sentence is confusing me.
No. It's
No,
not.
it is.
It's
It
not.
is.
You're not confused. You like the sentence.
You like the sentence. This is the sentence you're looking for.
It was after this comment I knew that I really couldn't talk to her on any subject. For pal she may be, but she was still a lady first and foremost, and the thoughts that were currently dancing about my head were not for her ears.
Ooh.
So he's thinking about her taking her uniform off and dancing.
Yeah.
I know exactly what's going on in that head of yours, she said. My eyes widened and I did my best beetroot impersonation.
I got in a jar of pickled onions. Pickled.
Don't worry, Girogue. I think that might be a spelling mistake.
No. Again, I don't make mistakes. That's her nickname for him.
All right, new name for George. Don't worry, Girogue, I have a sense of humour. Not as naughty as yours, apparently, but I'm no stick in the mud. And she laughed.
Ooh.
And if I remember correctly, from Mrs. Fox, that's it, isn't it? Yoo-hoo, yoo-hoo. And as she did so, her face lit up. Her pearly white teeth shone, and her green eyes flashed.
Wow, she's got a bulb inside her head then.
Her face lit up, her teeth shone, and her green eyes flashed. She's got a lot of bulbs in her head.
Yeah.
Although this was most certainly because a fellow in the corner had just struck a match.
Okay.
And set her head on fire.
Yeah.
Her laughter was contagious, and I found myself, in spite of recent events, laughing with her. Yoo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Ho, 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 ho! Yoo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Ho, 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 ho! I don't know, George Spooner's laugh, what do you reckon?
It's contagious, so he's got to laugh the same
Ho.
one, hasn't he? Yoo-hoo-hoo.
Yoo-hoo-hoo! 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 I don't know. He doesn't seem like a laughing character. Well, the voice doesn't suit laughter. It's too prim. Oh, bleb, bleb, bleb. Fiddly, fiddly, fiddly.
Yes,
That's it. Oh, fiddly, 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 fiddly.
Yeah. Nailed it. Amazing.
Yoo-hoo, fiddly, fiddly, fiddly. Yoo-hoo, fiddly, fiddly, fiddly. That's it. You just got to work at these things. Do you know what I like about this book?
Is it the amazing way all the words are included in the prose and there's no missing words?
You'd think they were, the way I just kind of seamlessly put most of them back in when I know what they are, when I can guess what they are. No, that's not the thing I like most about this book.
Oh, okay.
The thing I like most about this book is the way that the main character, Henrietta, finds a doorway to another world on the roof of her school and has to go through it to save her friends from what appears to be an evil kidnapping plot with only the help of a talking pig and a useless detective called Gret.
Gosh, yeah.
And if this book isn't about that, by any chance, if I'm getting mixed up and you're thinking, wow, that sounds like a good book that I would also like to listen to when I'm not, in between episodes of George Spooner, then you can by getting the audiobook of The Complete History and History of Underspace from manbycow.com.
Lovely.
After a glass of champagne, I felt much better.
Wow.
It is a well-known restorative, and I could almost feel the swelling in my head go down and my brain begin to function again. You should probably go, Daisy. I don't want to drag you into any trouble. It's too late for that. They saw me with you. I'm an accomplice. They're going to be looking for a chap with a bandaged head and a nurse. Very well. We should swap clothes then. They're not looking for a man in a nurse's costume and a naked woman with a bandage around her head. What he actually says is, very well, so we should buy you a new dress and me a hat. Because he's got a bandaged head. Good plan. Disagree. Good plan. Although I suspect your mind is still on my faux pas. And then? Like, as in, he's still thinking about getting her naked, I suppose.
Oh, right.
Then we find Mary, assuming she's alive. If she is, she'll certainly be staying hidden in fear of her life. How do you find a woman who does not wish to be found? Let us suppose she was at her apartment with Miss Hudson. The murderer arrived, killed the wrong person. Again, yes, again, clumsy assassin this one. And so Mary escapes, flees. What do we know about Mary? I only know what you have told me. Which is? She loves her horse? Not loves, is in love. She is in love with her horse. The very same horse she was forced to abandon when she fled.
Forced, of course, to abandon the horse.
You think she'll come back for the horse? I nodded. There is no greater folly than love, and no greater fool than a lover. And then Daisy says, De Vega? Who's De Vega? Is that a writer?
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, I was thinking that was a pretty good sentence. It makes sense that I didn't write it, and it's just a quote.
So Lope de Vega was a Spanish playwright, poet, and novelist. One of the key figures in the Spanish golden age of Baroque literature.
Nice.
There's also a horse called Lady de Vega, so it could be that's in keeping with the themes of this story. Was that something a horse said to you? No. She says, De Vega, and George says, Spooner, I said, modestly. So no, it sounds like it is something you wrote. George, you're a poet. I slipped her my business card, not a euphemism. George Spooner, occasional poet, painter, and teller of tales, I said, as she perused it. She frowned and looked up at me. It says art dealer. Yes, because I am, alas, no poet. I digress. Enough of my failed dreams. Daisy, I must return to Mary's apartment immediately. I don't think you should do that. I have no choice. It's my only chance of finding Mary. No, I mean, there's no point. I overheard Pino ordering a man to move the horse. Oh, cripes, where to? Daisy placed a hand on my shoulder. Ile de la Cité, the prefecture of police. That's what she said.
Yeah.
She's not very good at French.
I heard
either.
the word police. It doesn't sound good, whatever it is. Police station, probably, right?
The prefecture of police, that's what it is, whatever that is. First things first. Before I strolled breezily into the den of the police in the 4th arrondissement, in order that I might keep a horse under surveillance, I needed a disguise, and Daisy needed civilian attire. So I took us shopping for new clothes in Le Samaritain in the heart of the city. Normally, I steered clear of department stores. They were too busy for my sensibility and not at all my scene. This seemed reason enough to use one now. I doubted anyone would be looking for me there. But if they should be, then they'd be unlikely to find me in the crowd. I should also comment that I had found, whilst word spreads quickly out in the real world, these big stores are a world of their own. Consequently, a full-on war could start out in the streets, and those indoors would be cheerily oblivious of the fact till closing. With this in mind, it seemed the safest place in town. Getting there was the issue. Walking was out of the question. Why was walking out of the question? Because he left his legs at home. He left his legs in the hospital. Walking was out of the question, and I was conscious of the fact that the gendarme had very strong links with the cabbies here in Paris, and by now a description of us suspects would have travelled far and wide. So, like H.G. Wells's artilleryman, we resolved to hide ourselves underground and risked a ride on the metro.
Oh, right.
The journey to Pont-Neuf was thankfully uneventful, but nevertheless I was jumpy the whole way, and every time I saw a blue suit that resembled the gendarme, my heartbeat would grow a little faster, and my hair would grow a little whiter. I would not be comfortable until we had shed our current clothing and dressed a little more French. But at least now I would not be in need of a wig. Daisy remained much calmer than myself, or at least gave the impression of calm. I supposed it was part of her job as a nurse to appear unflustered, and she chatted idly to pass the time. Though when I remarked that she was as cool as a cucumber, or a cucumbre, she admitted she always whittled on when she was nervous. "You're as cool as a cucumbre," I said.
Is that what it's called in French then?
Cucumber. I think you've just guessed. I honestly think, cucumbre seems like you guessing, right? That seems like the sort of word you would come up with if you were just like, I can't really bother to find out what cucumber is in French. I'll do that later. Yeah. Cucumbre, that sounds believable. I mean, it's not that. It's only one letter off. It's really not that bad a guess. I wished I had a similar coping method instead of my own, which consisted of intermittently shutting down my respiratory system, turning a funny colour, realising I had forgotten to breathe for some time, then loudly gulping in air like a man who has just remembered he isn't a fish. So when he panics, he forgets to breathe.
Yeah.
And that's like a fish. That's like a fish.
When he panics, he goes and lives underwater and forgets to breathe.
Yeah. As we emerged from the metro, I could see La Samaritaine across the Seine. As we crossed the Pont Neuf Bridge, looking back to the east, I mean, I'll tell you what, I know that I'm pronouncing these French words wrongly because I'm pronouncing far too many of the letters. Right? I mean, La Samaritaine is probably Le Serre-Terre.
Yeah.
I could see Le Serre-Terre and the Pont Neuf Bridge.
Yeah, the Pont Neuf.
Looking back to the east, I could see the ominous shape of La Conciergerie, where 130 years ago, give or take a few, a good many people had failed to keep their heads, whilst all about them were losing theirs too. I do think, like you said with the writing though, my terrible French pronunciation can be attributed to George Spooner's character.
Yes.
He would definitely read it as if it were kind of English, but with a very vague, passing, very simplistic understanding of how French works, but never having heard the word spoken out loud. Or even if he has, he wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah.
So he just sees it written down and then just as a guess, but isn't very good at guessing. And I think I'm performing that very well.
Yeah, I mean, you've nailed that. You were like him completely.
I'm inhabiting the character. That's the kind of great performer I am. I'm going method. I'm going so method on this one that I have been living as someone who's a bit dim and really bad at French for decades to prepare for this performance that I'm doing now. And I think it shows, and it was worth it. I did not like being out in the open. I felt like a sitting duck, and Benoit had already implied it was duck hunting season.
He should get down that street that's full of ducks then, shouldn't he?
Yes, it's too easy there. Benoit had already implied it was duck hunting season, so I took Daisy's hand and hurried her across the river and towards the big hat-shaped department store. Once we were inside, I immediately felt far more composed. In here, we were not wanted. We were not suspects on the run. We were not even human beings. We were customers, and with the real world left outside, and the relaxing music being piped through the public address, I forgot my worries and got on with the far more serious business of clothes shopping. The clothes on offer were nothing I would usually wear, but if we wished to go incognito, then we were in the right place. I picked out a bland and poorly fitted suit from a rack of bland, poorly fitted suits. I also found a hat way too big for my head, which nicely covered my bandage. I like that idea. Like, he's got a big baggy suit on and an enormous hat, and they're probably like bright green or something. And he's like, no one will notice me now. Perfect disguise.
Yeah.
He seems like the kind of like dandy that would do that, like just really overdress and come out going, yeah, no one will look at me now.
Perfect. Yeah.
This'll do me, I said. Now you. Daisy was slightly less easy to shop for. Even though we were not buying the clothes for our personal pleasure, she still felt compelled to try on several different dresses. I imagined it was something in her programming from when she was a little girl playing dress-up from a trunk of old clothes.
Be funnier if, like, he bought her the same baggy suit and hat and they just went out.
Yes. Okay, these fit me. 2 of these, please, shop assistant. Excuse me, sir. So it was I sat listening to the muzak, while she mounted a little fashion show of some of the least desirable dresses I have seen outside a knitting circle. I should probably have been a little irate at her wasting valuable time, especially when she came out dressed in the identical hat and suit I was
God.
wearing. But in all honesty, I was enjoying this break from drama, and so instead I sat back and laughed gaily at her antics. Fiddly, 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 I went. As we know is my laugh. And deep down I suspected that she had sensed my nerves and was indeed doing all of this entirely for my benefit. We eventually decided on the greyest and plainest of her selection, whilst I had a bright green suit and hat on. But I promised that if we got out of this alive, I would take her to 21 Place Vendôme and buy her an Elsa Schiaparelli.
Did you? She didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that meant.
I promised those things. I was just making noises and hoping they sounded convincing. I'll take you to a posh street and buy you some designer clothes. It's one of the definite borders to my knowledge, of which there are many. You know, we all have big borders to our knowledge, but one of mine is definitely posh things.
Right.
In which I include all of France and the French language.
Yeah.
But anything posh, I'm just like, nope, no idea what this is. And also, like what other people might consider quite basic things, like desserts. Restaurants in general. Whenever I have to read things about that, I'm like, no, sorry, no idea about this, I'm afraid. What's this word here? Pudding. Spooted dick pudding. Is that what this is? Sorry, too posh for me.
Yeah.
For our American listeners, what I was referring to there is a British dessert called spotted dick, which is a very poor person dessert, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Worst Writer in the World. If you'd like to get your hands on the complete history and fistry of Underspace, then go to manbuycow.com. Bye-bye milk.
Bye-bye.
Worst writer in the world.